As we make the transition from our Hastings.K12 Outlook accounts and we move into our ISD 200 Gmail accounts, I wanted to take a couple minutes and just walk through some of the settings that you can look at in a couple of different videos to personalize the way that your Gmail inbox looks, potentially either just showing you some cool features that you may not be aware of because we haven't used Gmail as our primary email address, or that just some ways that you can make it look a little bit more like Outlook or help you function in this new environment. So this is kind of the main setup that you'll probably default to as you come into your email. Across the top, you'll actually have some different tabs that will kind of show how your emails are divided. Your primary is going to be anything that comes from your contacts, where you can have like most of your main messages. These tabs are some importance tabs. As you can see, most everything that's in this folder, Gmail has identified as important. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that if you don't like that. Then you're going to move into some different tabs across the top. Social is going to be anything from social media accounts. So your Twitter accounts, stuff like that, anything that they deem as social will get filtered into this. Promotions are going to be a lot of your vendors, different Cami, Screencastify, Schoology, emails like that you get where people are trying to sell you something or update you about products might come here. Updates is where a lot of your information about Google Docs getting shared with you, other updates from like maybe purchasing that you do is going to start coming here. And then if you're a member of any forums or anything like that, you might see that those emails start getting filtered into this forums. Very rarely do I see a lot of forum stuff in here, but if you're on a lot of listservs, that might be where that information comes from. Across the left in the typical setup, you do have your folders, the way that it's set up, the kind of the primary folders across the top, any extra folders that you have that are coming through, and then down at the bottom when you get to more, you can see your trash if you need to check that and some different things. So that's kind of where the settings are at. And then across here on the right are by default some just quick links. You can get a quick view at your calendar, what's coming up for the day, Google Keep, if that's something that you use to take notes, tasks, if you set daily tasks for yourself, kind of a to-do list, and then your contacts over on the right. And you can pop all of those out into new tabs if you want. So that's kind of the main setup of your inbox by default. To make changes to this, you're going to come up to your settings wheel. It gives you some very basic settings on the outset here, but I like to go in and just work out of see all settings. In this video, I'm only going to go through the general tab because there's a lot just on this one tab. I will make a second video that talks about all of these other tabs across the top and more advanced settings that you can set. So a lot of these are pretty basic and self-explanatory. You can set your language. You can set phone numbers to show up in which code. Page size is how many emails get displayed per page, so how far you want to be able to scroll before you have to go like to the next tab. The default, I think, is 50. That's typically where I have mine set because that's about where I'm at, especially with that kind of filtered inbox. 50 messages in that primary folder is usually plenty. One feature about Gmail that I absolutely love is this undo send button. What this allows you to do is once you click that send button, it will actually delay officially sending your email message for 5 to 30 seconds. And in that, you'll get a little pop-up down in the right that tells you message sending or message has sent. And up until that message sent button has displayed, you can actually click cancel send and go back and fix that spelling error that you just realized. Or, oops, I replied all. I only wanted to reply to the sender. And you can recall that message really quickly and really easily. So I love that undo send button for those reasons. You can set a default reply behavior. So if you do just like reply, when you click the reply button, it'll automatically go to that, and then you can switch it to reply all. Hover actions are across the top. Sometimes as you're scrolling through a message, those settings or those actions for deleting something, archiving it, go away. So if you kind of hover over up at the top, you can have those quickly reappear. So I like to have the enable hover actions turned on. So that way, if I'm at the bottom of a message, I don't have to scroll all the way back up to the top. Send and archive. So in Gmail, you can trash things and it will, after 30 days, delete it out of your trash. The thing that I really like about Gmail is that we can start archiving items. So no longer do we really have to deal with the space issues that we maybe had to with the Microsoft or the Outlook server. So you can save a lot more emails within the program by just archiving them. It will take them out of your inbox. It will move them into an archive folder. And then they'll just kind of hang out in Gmail forever. So if it's something that you only use once a year or you need to have access to again as maybe like tracking a student issue or something like that, you can archive it. And then you can search up in the search mail button up at the top and you can find that message again. There is a button that when you click send on a message, if you know it's a quick thing and you just want to automatically archive it, you can send an archive or not. I typically don't do that. I hide that button because it just gets really confusing. The default text style, this is where you click through and decide what you want your text to look like as far as a font, as well as your size, color, any of those kinds of things. Images and dynamic email. This is where when you get information, I have the always display external images, so I don't have to do that right click to display stuff. Dynamic email is something that's really cool that I like, that I think you might want to keep turned on. What that looks like is when you're in an email message and say I have a project that I'm collaborating on with other educators, and somebody has put a comment on a document or a Google Slides, from the email, if I kind of know what the person's talking about or that comment thread, I can just go in and I can quick type a reply, hit enter, and then it will automatically update that comment without me having to go back and open that document. You'll also see that as it comes in from the last time that I looked at this message or the last time it was sent, we've added a couple other comments and it's actually been resolved. So it's not something that I even really need to deal with at this point. So that's what the dynamic email is. It also shows a couple of other things and you can always learn more about that. So I like to have that turned on because those things disappear when you turn it off. Spelling, grammar, autocorrect, you can choose whether you want to have those on. Smart Compose is like predictive text on your phone, where as you're typing, it might predict the next couple of words. You hit tab and it completes that phrase for you in your email. Again, another cool feature that's been added in the last year or so. Smart Compose, again, similar. It will kind of track your past usage and personalize or help you personalize emails and compose your messages a little bit smarter. To turn those on, you do have to agree to let it kind of see your Gmail chat meet history, so that way it can learn how you use your stuff. So you have to have those two things on. Conversation view being on or off. This is how your email messages are grouped when they come in. So as you can see, I have the conversation view turned on. And so you can see where a chain of 6 emails has come through, or 4 or 8. It's going to group those emails together if you have conversation view turned on. If you turn it off, every message is going to come in as its own separate message, and you won't have that train of replies. Nudges are another cool feature that's been around for probably 2 or 3 years in Gmail that are really cool. We can always go through and we can use some stars that we'll get to down below in just a second to kind of mark messages as follow-up or I need to do this again. What nudges do when you turn them on is it kind of tracks your emails and reads it into it a little bit, and it says, oh, hey, this person said they needed a response by Friday. It's Thursday night. You haven't responded. it will actually nudge or move that email back to the top of your inbox and be like, hey, you maybe need to respond to this because they wanted a response by Friday. Same thing if you send an email to someone and ask for a response by Friday and you haven't gotten it, it will move that sent mail back into your inbox and say like, hey, you might need to follow up with this person because they haven't responded. So nudges are something that are pretty cool that can get you just kind of some quick reminders of, hey, you need to follow up on these things. So something to turn on. Smart replies are emails that when you get something where somebody's like, hey, thanks for sending me this, it pops up with that quick you're welcome. You click the you're welcome button, it will automatically open the compose button with the you're welcome as the first line. You just click send or you can add to the message. So again, if you like having those quick responses when they're available, that's something that you can use. Desktop notifications. That's basically if you want that little pop-up window that you have a new mail, make sure that you select what you want there. And just because I have noticed that I say I want new mail notifications on, however, previously I had disabled them in my browser. So if I want those actually to show up, I need to go in and click this learn more and turn those on. Stars. This is how you mark things as things that you want to follow up on, or this is a message I need to kind of keep at the top of my inbox. If you've starred a message in your, say, your promotions, so this one came in fairly recently. I probably should actually, let's go over here. So this one from Missy Williams, if I click star here in the updates tab, what that's going to do is it's going to say, hey, this is an important email. And if I come over to my primary tab, we'll see that email from Missy Williams is now over in my primary because I've said, hey, this is something that is important that I want to have in that main inbox. So stars are kind of a way that you can mark something as important. You can definitely star stuff in your main inbox as well. But it's just something that kind of moves it around and puts it in a different spot, or one way to move it around and put it in a different spot. I'm going to go ahead and unclick that, and we'll notice that it will switch back over to just displaying in my updates tab if I uncheck that star, if I followed up on it. So there's a couple different ways that you can use stars. There's some presets where you get 1 star. They have some 4 stars loaded. Every star can be in there. And then when you go through and click those, the first time you click the star button in your inbox, it would load the red star. If you click it again, it would go to orange, red, purple, all the way on through. So this is kind of like would be your own personal system. I know at some points in my use of Gmail, I've maybe done like red, you can drag those up there. Red, I need to follow up on this right away. This is something that's super important. I need to do it. Yellow, I need to follow up on it in a couple of days. Green, we're good. I've read it. I've responded to it and it's taken care of. And so then I can just kind of click through for the red, yellow, green. And the 4th time I would click, it would take the star away. So it's kind of something that's up to you how you want to utilize that function. But you just kind of have to make those decisions. Keyboard shortcuts, those would be those where you would control and click or function click and something would pop up and happen automatically. You can turn those off or on. If you click the learn more, you'd see some of those features. Button labels, those are going to be the things across the top in your inbox. So if I click into an email, right now I'm seeing the archive, spam, delete. I know what all of these buttons are, so I'm going to go ahead and leave them as a button instead of a label. If you switch it over to label, instead of having the envelope to make it mark as unread, it's going to say mark as unread. So it's kind of whatever your personal preference is there. If you want to get a fancy picture of yourself or whatever you teach, you can update your picture here. This is creating contacts for auto completion. So when we go to compose a mail and I type in a name, you can see that people that Karen Cook at hastings.k12 is not natively loaded. So any ISD 200 or Hastings apps address is already preloaded from our Google domain. But things outside the domain, when you send an email for the first time to that address, if you have this, when I send a message, it will create a contact. So it will pop up in kind of that address book for you. So that's what that is. Or you can add them manually yourself. This is also on the general tab where you set your signature. And you can just auto update in this box right here. You can set multiple signatures, and then it would give you the option of how you want the default signature to be added to your emails. I mentioned these indicators for different things right here. There's a couple different indicators. I guess this is a different one. The personal level indicator is for how messages are sent to you. It would get one little caret if it's sent to my email address, but maybe there's other people on the email as well. You would get a double arrow if it's just sent to you, and then there would be nothing if it's sent to like a listserv. So again, it's just kind of if that's something that's interesting to you, go ahead and use it. Snippets are this part right here. It gives you a little snippet of an information about what the email is about. So make sure, like, if that's something that you like to kind of see, you turn the snippets on. I will show you how in the next video to turn on the reading pane that is similar to Outlook, where you have all of your messages in kind of that middle column to the right of your labels, and then the full message in the reading pane. That'll come in the next video. So if you're interested in that. And then obviously your vacation responder, if you're going to be out of the office for a long time, you can turn on and set up your vacation responder. You can set this to happen in the future. So you can set your start date and your last date, and how it kind of goes out. So those are settings that are general that you want to do. Settings on this general tab, make sure if you do change anything, you need to scroll all the way to the bottom and click Save Changes. Otherwise, it won't save any of your changes. As you get into some of the other tabs across the top, those more kind of just update automatically and save automatically. But things on this general tab, you do have to scroll all the way to the bottom and save changes. And the Save Changes button is only there if you've actually made changes that need to be saved. So, end of part one for general. This is some general settings for your email, new email with the ISD200.org on Gmail. We will get into some of these more detailed stuff in a second, probably shorter video.